I finally finished A Certain Dark Side Item Volume 3, and my god, I want to talk about this absolutely insane ending, which I wouldn't have predicted in a billion years. Despite this, I was pretty disappointed with Volume 3, as I didn't feel like it was as good as the first two entries. With the spin-off following the Dark Side group known as Item, headed by the 4th rank level 5, Mugino Shizuri. Even though I have problems with Volume 3, the ending certainly made up for it. So spoiler alert, Mugino is confronted directly by none other than the mysterious 6th rank level 5 Aihana Etsu face to face. This was after Mugino and Item had successfully defeated all of the justice groups that were opposing them in the previous chapters. With Aihana being known as the Dark Side's Bane, the number 6 decided to make a physical appearance, seemingly because Mugino had gotten involved too much in a territory outside the Dark Side. Mugino had killed her school's class representative, who was also a detective hunting her down, and she was also now on Judgment's secret kill list. Therefore, Aihana Etsu set out to eliminate Mugino. Aihana had just murdered another liaison or voice on the phone who had been sending orders to the Dark Justice groups that Item had either killed or defeated. The interior of the man's private jet was covered in blood and was completely ruined, with the liaison's head being decapitated and thrown into a trash can. Item's own voice on the phone, Hanano Chobi, investigated the crime scene along with Kihara Noken, Aleister Crowley's personal assassin, who is only deployed to deal with extraordinary threats within Academy City. And he's such a good boy. Noken assessed that the dead liaison was afraid that he was under investigation by Aihana and set up some defenses to prevent this. But the number 6 realized this and then slaughtered the liaison before they could identify who Aihana is, as their true identity is completely unknown and is one of the biggest mysteries in the entire Toaru franchise. The fact that Kihara Noken is involved in this case is very interesting, as he states he is currently after the number 6, which means that Aleister Crowley more than likely has decided that Aihana must be eliminated. This could be due to Aihana interfering too much in the affairs of the Dark Side of Academy City, with Aleister having a policy of keeping the Dark Side intact but separate from the Light Side, or the normal everyday citizens of Academy City. Aihana's role as the Dark Side's Bane and his murderous actions would be considered as a true threat to the balance of the city. Well, we know that Aihana is alive and well in Index, as the Item spin-off is a prequel 1 year before the start of Index and Railgun, meaning that if Noken is out to assassinate Aihana, then he must have been unsuccessful. But at the same time, Aihana is never referred to as the Dark Side's Bane in Index, and isn't seen targeting any of the major Dark Side factions. Maybe Aihana is prompted to stop antagonizing the Dark Side, or he gets nerfed and is forced into a more passive role in the city due to the events of the Item spin-off. We will have to wait and see. Now we skip to Mugino, as she is recovering from her injuries from her previous fights in the volume, and the other members of Item walk straight ahead of her. Suddenly, she feels her right knee going limp, while her vision drops straight down. Mugino couldn't even speak, with only her eyes being able to move. Just like when I'm face to face with my sleep paralysis demon. Mugino collapsing wasn't the result of her injuries, but something far worse. A strange silhouette appeared before her, one that distorted space around it, with the strange figure formed of numerous wavy lines, with the body of a small child. The strange person hadn't even touched Mugino. The shadowy figure was in fact the enigmatic 6th rank level 5 Esper, Aihana Etsu. For some reason, no one else around Mugino noticed what was happening, including her Item teammates who had gone ahead moments before. After Mugino was aware this was indeed the number 6, Aihana stated that Mugino had entered a territory which she did not belong, and they were there to finish her for good. Mugino violently fired her meltdowner beams at Aihana, which atomize any matter which comes into contact with them, but they all veered off their intended target and burst into numerous particles. With everything that Aihana was doing, What on earth was their power? The mysterious number 6 stated an ominous prophecy. In the future, Mugino would be betrayed by one of her own. While there was nothing to suggest what the number 6 was saying would be true, Mugino still felt fear. The time will come when it all unravels. The only question is whether it will happen sooner or later. No doubt this is referring to Frenda's eventual betrayal of Item 1 year later in the story, during the Battle Royale arc. Aihana continued to speak. They stated, "Traitors will themselves be betrayed. You are ruling everything around you with fear, but there is no trust there. No one sees enough value and weight in it to keep their promises." This quote really sticks out to me if we evaluate what happened with Frenda, as in the Index manga, we do see that it was Measure Heart who used her emotional distance mind power on Frenda, making her reveal the location of Item's hideout to the Darkside organization known as School. So you could argue that while it's debatable whether Frenda was a traitor or not, you could argue that Frenda was betrayed by Mugino instead, as she did not listen to Frenda's side of the story. Mugino then proceeded to go against the rest of Item, specifically to Kitsubo and Hamazura. Therefore, Mugino herself could be perceived as the actual traitor to Item instead of Frenda. Back to Item Volume 3, as Aihana then contemplated going after the rest of Item after dealing with Mugino, and said it would be best to eliminate them all before Item dealt with another case, due to more people in the light side potentially being harmed. Aihana believes that they represent the essence of justice by following their own righteous moral code, by punishing those they deem as wicked. And who does that remind you of? Anyway, Mugino was understandably annoyed at Aihana as she fired Meltdowner beams once more, this time fueled by her own rage as she projected the beams from her entire body. Wait, does that include... yes? The beams melted through the road and even cut through a nearby wind turbine. But again, they did not hit the number 6. Mugino screamed at Aihana, saying that they are nothing more than a killer, and she will never let them go near her teammates. Aihana then seemingly had a change of mind from Mugino's words, as he senses there is some good present within her, and notably Item decided to spare the lives of Judgment Branch 000's death squad, instead of deciding to kill them. Aihana stated, "Perhaps you still have a minuscule chance of receiving an unexpected blessing. Foster that feeling with great care. If you do, something could possibly change. Meltdowner, you possess an incredible amount of energy. You only need to make good use of it. The odds are extremely poor, and it may be easier on you if I did not present you with this hope that will almost certainly amount to nothing. The path you forewalk is far too dangerous to be relying on luck and asking for a miracle. If you do that, you could all lose your lives at an even earlier point. But on the other hand, there is a chance." I believe this references the fact that Mugino begins her redemption arc after she was shown mercy by Hamazura in the World War III arc, and was reintegrated into the new version of Item, with them distancing themselves from the dark side, and that the members of Item all nearly lost their lives at some point or another in Index, with Frenda drawing the short straw. Mugino then finally managed to strike the shadowy form of Aihana Etsu, breaking through the mysterious defense. The number 6 then vanished into thin air without a trace, not because Mugino had successfully killed Aihana, as she could tell that her attack did not truly melt through anything. Mugino then swore she would fight back if Aihana or his followers should return. I'm really happy we got new information about Aihana, but in typical Kamachi fashion, we are given more questions than answers. At least Volume 4 will hopefully have Aihana as the main antagonist of the volume. So hopefully one of Toaru's greatest mysteries might just begin to unravel soon. Similarly to Aihana's appearance in Genesis Testament Volume 2, they appear to distort space and light around them, but it was always unclear how they did this, since the number 6 explained to Toma that they have the power to turn someone into an ideal self, and not warp space. Either they lied about the true nature of their power, or there is more to the power than just doing one thing. We do get to see Aihana doing completely new things too, such as temporarily stunning Mugino and fending off her attacks with some form of defense. I wonder how similar this is to Accelerator's reflection. What is strange is that Toma was able to punch Aihana just fine, without any defense intervening. But perhaps Toma was able to do this due to Imagine Breaker passively nullifying Aihana's defense. Outsiders were also unaware that Aihana was present next to Mugino. This ability may have been active during a Toma encounter, but we simply didn't get to see it. Another thing we don't know is how Aihana murders people, like the liaison guy who got killed, as we never saw Aihana launch any physical attacks at Mugino. The Aihana that was present before Toma insinuated that they are not capable of fighting on their own. I cannot actually do all that much. The nature of my power means I cannot bring about justice on my own. So either Aihana lied or got nerfed, or he had someone else do the job for him. I guess we will have to wait and see. What was truly ominous was the prophecy that Aihana foretold in relation to Frenda and Mugino, referring to a future betrayal. Can Aihana predict or see into the future? This might hold up true when we look at major Genesis Testament 10 spoilers. You have been warned. So in GT2, Aihana says to Toma that he will die after Toma refused to accept the number 6's power to help. If you keep going on like this, you will surely die. Your destruction has been predetermined here. And while Toma avoided a near death from using Saint Germain's magic and fighting Anna Sprengel, he then dies multiple times while being resurrected by Good Old Mary's magic in the following volumes. But finally he met his demise with Alice Another Bible killing Toma in Genesis Testament Volume 10. That's honestly crazy if Aihana managed to see Toma's fate, which is creepy considering Alice also determined Toma would die in Genesis Testament Volume 5. And now my brain is going down the rabbit hole of endless insane theories. And yes, that's an Alice in Wonderland reference. Let me know what you think down below, and check out my other videos about the level 5s on screen right now for more Toaru videos. Until next time.